All right. Big news of the week. Penn State men's hockey is going to the Frozen Four, which 24-ish hours later still is a bizarrely weird thing, cool thing, amazing thing to say, to type, to think about. It's awesome. It's objectively awesome. It was cool. Last night was one of my favorite nights to be a Penn State sports fan in quite some time. Honestly, since the Big Ten championship in 2016, I think is honestly what that felt like. It was that cool to see. I guess to be.
Did you feel it was overdue? Because I mean, you had them there a couple. You see it, so because you're more of a hockey guy than I am, and more. So, and we've talked before. Oh, they should be there. This. So, what did it feel like when it finally happened? Did you feel like, oh, finally, or did you feel like, well, good thing, finally? Like, how did it feel for you?
I was talking about this last night, or earlier. Was it earlier today or last night? And I think what felt so good about seeing that happen was the fact that from the time they started as a Division I program, now what, 13-ish years ago, to 7:56 and however many seconds on Sunday night, the program was stuck. And I don't mean that in a negative way. And it has grown, and it certainly has grown, but it was always capped at where it could possibly go or what it could possibly be. And there was always this idea, but it was, you never saw the proof, you never saw the reality of it. And when that goal went in last night, like, I think what that did was opened up all of that and kind of, in some ways, just as the gift of Terry Bagula, like the gift of that goal and what that goal really means. I think that's why the celebration was so authentic and euphoric, and people were very emotional, myself included, last night, because it was so well deserved and just so due. It wasn't overdue, but it just, I think Brian Tripp said it at the beginning, and Chris Funke said it at the beginning of the broadcast, it just feels like they're due. And sure enough, they were due. Like, and it's cool when things work out that way, I guess would be the best way to say that.
Yeah, okay. I mean, and I felt good for a lot of people, right, when it happened. Like, from Guy and the players, right? Because again, for me, and we've talked a little bit about it, I'm covering this stuff for kicks. Like, it's a kind of a fun way to cover a sport that seems to have good people that are participating. I can also, in my other full-time job as at Penn State and the Bell Sawyer College, our kids are the kids who are covering the team. So I get to see them develop their careers and do what's going on. So it's kind of a two-off kind of like just fun way to do it. But, then there's Joe Batista. There's the people that have been with the program for all those years. There's people the players that came before them, right? Like, who just didn't, believed in it. So it was probably, it wasn't because I was working. It wasn't quite, I had to stop to try to take it in a little bit. I was trying to get a story quick done so the CDT would have something. And then I'm going down the press room. I'm like, where are you going? Like, it's going to take them forever to get off the ice. Like, it just is. They got to celebrate. So stop. Don't go to the elevator and walk back out and watch this, right? And take it in. And that then helped shape my story because I had the pictures of what was happening on the ice to work in the story. But I did have to stop and kind of take it in a little bit. So, but I was very excited for everybody that's just been part of it. And I guess we're gonna get there because I'm gonna go there with this. Like, it's kind of proof positive to Guy's approach to what's going on. Like, he is not always going to want the best player. He's going to want the player that fits their model, fits the team, is with chemistry. And there's a part of me that was like, dude, when you were struggling the past 2 seasons, you better just find some players. Like, good Lord.
We said that on this podcast, and I'm comfortable with saying that. I think,
but it turns out it worked out okay, right? Like, they're going to this Frozen Four with 3 players that were in NHL draft picks. Western Michigan has 7, and everybody else has double digits. The other 2 have double digits in their programs that have been. So it's kind of a validation because it didn't feel fluky, right? It doesn't, it doesn't feel like, oh my God, this is never going to happen again. I mean, it may not happen next season again, but it feels like, okay, this program is up from where you talked about 5 minutes ago.
And I think that is what I think that's what made the scene so good, I think would be the best way to say that. Of like, I think everybody kind of collectively realized that, and I think that's why, like, I know that last night was not a national championship, but in some ways it felt just because, like, this was the goal. This was the clearest goal for this program, that they needed to reach a Frozen Four. That like we can talk about national championships in terms of like they should win them, but to reach the Frozen Four in some ways was the most immediate goal that showed proof, and that's what we got last night. And I think that was really cool. I think to your point, I also think the way Penn State played, had to come back 2.5 times, if you will. I mean, they were with the letting up 2 goals, or a goal, and then coming back, letting up a goal, coming back, and then winning in overtime. I think that I'm kind of, as much as people were probably stressed out, myself included, like, I think that was the way Guy Gadowski would have wanted it, because it showed the grit and the personality of his program, and it was a great showcase of that, and it was like it was cool that it came from Matt DeMarsico, who is a homish grown, like a Pennsylvania kid, and it is a really good player in a lot of ways, but he's not Aiden Fink, I guess, in terms of the superstar, like, kind of quote unquote level. And it was neat to see, like, that, and then the Arseny Sergeyev storyline of beating his old team to go to the Frozen Four. There was a lot there. There's a lot there that we'll have time to unpack, and we'll continue to unpack right now.
Well, and Brian Tripp pointed out in the broadcast, but Penn State didn't mess with its lines, right? Like, it kept running its 4 lines. There were a couple times when they could have put a different line out there, and Guy stuck with his 4, right? And I think if you're one of his players, you have to appreciate that, right? And if you're someone who wants to play for him, you have to appreciate that. In the biggest game in program history, he's not going to be like, okay, we're just going to put it on the shoulders of these 6 in the front and these 2 in the back, or 3 in the back, right? Like, we're going to let everybody keep doing what they're supposed to do, because we're all in this together. And I think that resonated. And it, as I was driving back home, I'm thinking about people like, Ben Kogut. We did the story about the uniforms, right? And how it fits through the program, and everybody having a part. Even Michael Cross, who was the administrator for years and now is the commissioner in the Southern Conference, right? I'm sure he was watching that, and I'm sure at some point, in the past 24 hours, probably in minutes after the game, was trading texts with people there and was so happy for them. So, and it's new and fresh because it's, the program's still new compared to all the other varsity sports, and it was a big moment. Like, it was, I was more in a fan mode when they beat North Dakota in Tennessee a couple years ago, when they went down there and there were 14,500 people in the arena, and 500 of them were blue and white and the rest were green and white, and it ended up winning. That felt really cool, but obviously not on the level of this in terms of what it means and validation. So I'm happy for everyone.